Okay, what I want to show here is how to convert strings of text, blocks of text, into separate letters, and then how to animate those letters. So let's get rid of what I have on here. And I'm going to get rid of all this stuff that I just did. And I'm going to start off with a block of text. Okay, it looks good. Let's make it centered. And now that it's selected, I'm going to go to Modify and Break Apart to break those into 4 different pieces. Okay, so now we have 4 letters. And I want them all on their own layers. So I could do that one at a time and just copy and cut and paste each one to its own layer, but there's a faster way, which is Modify, Timeline, Distribute to Layers. So whatever items are on your stage when you do this, everything will get its own layer. And looks like this one's extra, so we'll get rid of that. So all we have is one letter for each layer. Okay, so you can see that if I turn off T or E, each of those is on its own layer. Now what I want to do is turn each of these into a symbol. So I'm going to go to my first one, say Modify, Convert to Symbol, Graphic Symbol, and we'll call that T. And since I did this earlier, I'll say this is T1. And here, Modify, Convert to Symbol, we'll call this T2. No, we'll call this E1, sorry. And this one, Modify, Convert to Symbol, S1. And this one here, since there's 2 T's, I'm going to give this the name T2. Okay. Okay, now what I want to do is animate those, and so I'm going to say that I want these to animate into position one after another. I'm going to start with the first T. And the second T, if I click it and then drag it a few frames, it'll start there. And if I click this next frame and drag it to frame 10, and the next one click, release, and then press drag, each of those will start a little bit later, so it'll be T, E, S, T. Those will all begin their animation cycles there. And I want them to end, let's say, on frame 20. So what I'm going to do here is hit F6, and F6 here. And what it's doing is copying that keyframe. And F6. So you can see what's going to happen is they're all going to just animate into position. But I don't want just that. I want them to move also. So what I'll do is, now that I have the ending word looking the way I want it to, I can begin the animation over here and say that this T is actually going to begin somewhere else. So I'm going to move it out here. And I'm going to use the free transform tool to make it bigger. And I'm going to go to color and say that I want it alpha, that is, I want it invisible, entirely invisible. So I'm going to set the alpha to 0. And so you can see when I scrub my timeline that there's nothing there until the very end. Well, the other thing I'm going to do here is click on the first frame and say that I want a motion tween. So what it's going to do is animate that into position and animate the whole process of the alpha and the scale changing. I'll do the same thing over here. First frame, I'm going to take that thing and move it. And so we start this one up here and make it, if I can position my cursor right, make this bigger. Go to color and set the alpha to 0. And turn on, I've got to click it again, tween, I've got to set tween to motion. Okay, let's do another one. The S, first thing I'm going to do is move it. Next thing I'm going to do is make it bigger. I'm going to go to color, set it to alpha of 0, And then you've got to come back in here and click on the keyframe itself to get access to this tween option, and we'll set motion there. And the last one, click on the frame, grab the letter, move it where you want it to be, change the scale of it with the transform tool, change the color to alpha of 0, and then you got to go back in and click on the keyframe and set the tween to motion. And then what we should have is the whole thing coming together like that. Okay, so we'll go ahead and save that.